What's going on, everybody? Mike Tipton hanging out with you here on a Thursday, our last weekday, I guess. I was going to say like the last show of the week, but that sounded weird as well. Maybe I'm just an idiot. Maybe that's just all me. I'm going to double check. The audio is good. That's going to be in my mind literally for the rest of eternity. The one time I didn't check the audio, we had no audio. Woosah, I'll be all right. Our guy Tommy Cadanza saying, what's up, Tip? Good morning, Tommy. Hope you are doing well today. It is a Thursday. We got Thursday night football coming. Sorry, I had to get some coffee in. Had a little phlegm working in my throat. Obviously, I sound weird anyway, so why not make sure I sound a little more weird with the sweetened coffee? I tried just regular black coffee. Cannot do it. Just can't, won't. It's gross. And the people that drink coffee that way are equally as gross and probably much more masculine than I. Although I can't say that because I know there's a ton of women out there that also like black coffee. So maybe I'm just an idiot. Maybe I'm just weak. Maybe that's what it is. Weekly tip. Once again, everybody, we are live over on X, Facebook, and YouTube, and of course on Roku via National Streaming Sports. National Streaming Sports has a lot of great content. You can check them out, not just on Roku, but also on YouTube as well. Great place to go over, see all the things that are going on in the world of sports, different perspectives, all that good stuff. We are also brought to you by our friends over at RevAutoCarCare.com, RevAutoCarCare.com. Use promo code Tipton33 and save up to 15% on all of your car care needs. It's been too cold for me to go outside and wash my car, and it is bothering the hell out of me. This morning, I put the kids' backpack. My oldest son is in guitar. Put it in the back of the Mustang. I'm always surprised at what I could fit in the trunk of my Mustang. It's insane to me, but I'm so glad that I have that. Put all that stuff in the back of the Mustang, close the trunk, and all I can focus on are just my handprints in the dirt on the back of my car. And I'm like, I need to get out here and wash this car. Then I step out of the car. Augustine's saying there's no sound. You're lying. I know better than that. RA checked. So if you ain't got no sound, that's a you problem. Maybe. Yep. 100%. That's a you problem. Turn up your speakers there, guy. Augustine always knows how to push the buttons with me. The one day that it happens, and like I said, it's going to be in my mind. I'm so obsessive over this stuff that it's going to be in my mind for the remainder of eternity until the day that my brain doesn't work very much. And I'll have fun CTE. Fun CTE. That's what I want to have whenever I get older. My car's dirty. I don't want my car to be dirty anymore. I don't know what I'm going to do because it's way too damn cold for me to go out there and try to wash it right now. Maybe I'll make the kids wash it. But whenever the kids wash it, it doesn't look the way I want it to. And this is the purgatory of being me. This is what the nightmare that it's like to have my brain. Nonetheless, want to give a shout out to our friends over at www.myhappynuts.com. Fantastic product. Super happy about using the Balber. It's been life-changing, if I can be so blunt about it. Absolutely life-changing. Okay, enough of that stuff. Let's jump into it. What I want to do today is just talk about the sports news that we haven't gotten to, right? Tuesday's curveball really threw us off, so Wednesday we wind up having just a conversation about the Dallas Cowboys. And again, like not angry at the Dallas Cowboys, just disappointed. Like always around. Even whenever they win, I'm disappointed. Whenever they lose, I'm disappointed. It's just, again, the purgatory of being a Dallas Cowboys fan. But with all the stuff that was going on in football, with the doink that the Kansas City Chiefs win on Sunday night, with the Buffalo Bills losing on Sunday, everybody got lost in the fact that in baseball, Juan Soto signed a $765 million deal. Again, just a number I never would have thought that I would have heard. A $765 million deal to play baseball across the city of New York, leaving the Yankees and becoming a player for the Mets. A lot of people have been putting out on social media like, oh, the Yankees fans, now you know how it feels to lose out on the players because of money and blah, 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 blah. It's always kind of been that way, right? Like even the Red Sox, for all the gruff the Yankees got in those early 2000 teams, the Red Sox were just throwing money out there as well. So I don't feel like it's necessarily that the Yankees are just being outspent by people. I think playing for the Yankees doesn't mean what it used to back in the day, right? And I'm not saying that Juan Soto wanted to necessarily play with the Mets. I think Juan Soto, you kind of knew what to expect from Juan Soto whenever he turns down the $400 million deal from the Nationals a couple of years ago, bounces around from team to team. None of his teammates really like him. He wasn't a very well-loved guy in the Yankees clubhouse. None of the Yankees players were going to bat for him, being like, hey, this is a guy that we want on our team. You kind of knew that he was just about, okay, whoever's going to give me the most money, that's where I'm going to go. And like, honestly, go get your money, dude. I'm with it. If you can get $765 million, be about it, man. But the news comes out that he signed with the Mets because a staffer or a security guard, I'm still kind of loose on that, with the Yankees, was saying that, or at one point in time had kicked his family out of an area that they weren't supposed to be in. And then instead of giving Juan Soto a suite for his family to hang out at Yankee Stadium, they said, why don't you buy the suite? That's something that Jeter had to do. That's something A-Rod had to do. There's a whole bunch of former Yankees that have gone through that type of treatment. And as I look at the stuff, it just feels like it's fodder out there, right? Like I'm the dumb guy for actually falling for it, listening to it, watching it, and being like, oh, okay, maybe that's the truth. Augustine Pimentel saying, but this was one way to lose for the Brokeback Mountains. And how about Bill B in college footy? We'll talk about that coming up in just a little bit. Again, I've asked you, come up with a better insult. My God, like a better insult. When you're making that amount of money to play baseball, who cares who likes you? And I'm with it 100%, right? I'm a firm believer that whenever you're the best at something, you're going to have people that are going to hate on you anyway. Whenever you're pretty terrible at something, like I am at this, you're going to have people that hate on you. And it's just, it's part of the territory that comes with the game, right? So I understand that aspect of it. And like I said, with Juan Soto, go get your money, dude. But don't create these stories of, oh, well, the Yankees didn't want me to have a suite for free. It's a bad business practice to give someone a suite for free. You know what I mean? Like if Jeter had to pay for it, if A-Rod had to pay for it, if Judge currently has to pay for it, all they do is they add that money for what the suite was going to cost into your contract, and then you buy you buy it. It's not a hard thing to do. Augustine Pimentel saying, we don't hate you. It's compassion and empathy. I wasn't talking about you. It's not the people that listen to this show necessarily. It's the other people out there that are doing stuff similar to what I'm doing. Although I will say this, and no, before anyone gets out there and says it's Capello, it's not Capello. It's me and Cappy have a great relationship still. He is a mentor of mine. That's the reason why I am in this industry. If not for Steve Kaplowitz, I would not be able to do the things that I'm doing. So it's not Cappy. But there's other people out there that have been like, oh, I could have gone to ESPN too. I just didn't want to. Sure, guy, sure. Of course, all of it. It's the same thing I used to get from people whenever I was in the Air Force. I was like, I wanted to join the military, but I would have yelled and I would have punched a drill sergeant or a military training instructor. No, you wouldn't have. Just flat out. I don't care how badass you think you are. You ain't touching one of them because there's a whole bunch of them and only you. It ain't going to happen that way. So you can try to be as tough as you want to be there, tough guy, internet tough guy, but it doesn't happen that way. You touch one of them instructors, they're able to put their hands on you, and they aren't as sleep deprived as you are. Tommy Canazza saying, especially not a problem when you're going to get $750 million. Exactly. Right? This is what I love about this deal. And then what I was surprised the most about Augustine saying it's Brandon Cohn and Andy Lee. Surprisingly, I've never met Andy Lee. And you know Brandon, he's my guy. But Tommy Canazzo saying, especially not a problem whenever you get $750 million. And I agree with that 100%. Like, that amount of money. I would have never thought in my lifetime that we would have seen the jump that we saw. I remember A-Rod's contract of $250 million being something that was looked at as this is going to break baseball. Now we've doubled that and added some more to it. We've doubled A-Rod's contract, damn near tripled A-Rod's contract, and just like it's a great place to be in. And the thing about Juan Soto's contract is it's not as team friendly as Shohei Ohtani's contract. There are no deferrals in Juan Soto's contract. It's the 15 years, the 750 or 765. Each one of those, like it's you got to pay it. And someone put out there on social media that like what happened was the Mets basically gave a 36-year-old Juan Soto a $200 million deal, because that's what it's going to be in another 10 years. It'll be the $200 million for a 36-year-old player. That doesn't happen very often. So what you're doing is you're paying for the hope that you get the production out of the guy at the beginning. Augustine's saying how much is guaranteed? Baseball contracts, all of it is guaranteed. Even gets a $75 million signing bonus. So, like, it's not just the 765 that he got. Add another 75 million to it for the signing bonus, and he's on his happy, merry little way, right? Like, at the end of the day, it winds up being well over $800 million, Jesus Christ, of a contract that he gets. Obviously, taxes, etc., all that stuff. At that point in time, do you even care about taxes? $765 million. That's such a large number that my mind cannot compute it. I drive around and I see the lottery, and whenever it gets up to like 200 million, I'm like, God, what would I do with $200 million? Like, I'd buy a Mustang, I'd buy a house, I'd probably buy a radio station or a TV station, and then I'd be like, I'd have another maybe 175 million left. But I'm not going to buy like a crazy Mustang. Well, maybe I'll buy Eleanor. Still only like $3 million. But anyway, I'm going to get off that thing because I don't even know. How would you spend $700 million? Jesus Christ, that's such a big number. I can't even think of what the hell I'd spend that on. But yeah, all of it guaranteed. And then you compare that to the Shohei Ohtani deal, right? Which is set 10 years, $700 million. But it's not 10 years, $700 million. It's basically 10 years at $20 million, and then another 10 years at $68 million. So after he's retired, after Shohei is done, he's going to be on the books for the Dodgers for $680 million. The reason why they were able to work that type of contract out is because with the endorsement deals, and as we know, Shohei Ohtani is basically the only player that's been endorsed with Major League Baseball over the last couple of years. He's the only real face of Major League Baseball. Like, I feel like if you were walking out into anywhere and you saw Juan Soto, you wouldn't really recognize him. I was surprised whenever I was at Major League Baseball's All-Star game how small he is. He's super muscular, but just how short he is. I'm taller than Juan Soto, and I'm all of 5'10", right? But you see Shohei Ohtani, and you know who Shohei Ohtani is. And the Dodgers are able to manipulate the system the way that they did so that he's making more off of his endorsements, which is all he really cares about, because in Japan, he's making just a ton of money because he's Shohei Ohtani and he's on the Dodgers. And part of the reason why he chose the Dodgers is the West Coast games. Easier for the people in Japan to be able to watch those West Coast games. It's such a brilliant marketing strategy that he did, that he was able to say, look, I'll take $2 million a year for 10 years, only $2 million a year for 10 years. Then after that, you'll have to pay me the $68 million a year, but I'm already going to be retired at this point in time. I'm already going to be done with baseball at this point in time. So now he's living off of what he makes as a superstar in Japan, along with the endorsements from Major League Baseball and what he gets from the Dodgers. And then whenever he's done, he has himself a nice little $680 million nest egg that he's going to be able to to capitalize on whenever he's no longer Shohei Ohtani, the Hall of Fame baseball player. Juan Soto's contract doesn't have that. And the crazier thing about Juan Soto's contract is that in 5 years, whenever he's 31 years old, he has the option to opt out of his contract. And I don't know how many people actually care about these contract things. I find them so fascinating. The way that they ebb and flow. That after this 5 years, whenever he opts out, because he's going to opt out, because whenever he does that, it gives him a guaranteed $50 million more on the deal. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you for 10 years opt out and get an additional $10 million or $5 million added on over the next 10 years? That's such an interesting way of doing it. And then you also have to think about this. After those 5 years, he opts out. He's 31 years old. In baseball, that's still considered your prime. If he's healthy, who's to say that if he opts out, someone else doesn't offer him a larger contract? Especially with the way that baseball and money in baseball just seems to be printed out hand over fist. Don't get me wrong, I hate the fact that he left the Yankees, but I love just seeing this type of chaos. And it makes me say what I've said a million times before in the past, that the NFL instituted a salary cap to save Jerry Jones from himself. The rest of the league would have been annihilated. Give Jerry Jones the ability to just pay whatever the hell he wants to whoever the hell he wants, and watch how the Dallas Cowboys are much more successful than the New York Yankees were. It is mind-blowing to me that we still have a no salary cap league in Major League Baseball. It is mind-blowing to me that we cannot have just maybe a decade of chaos in the NFL. If we're going to have the Wild West in college football, let's do the same damn thing in the NFL. Let's do it that way. I'm all about let the players get their money, right? And I know collective bargaining and all that stuff, Major League Baseball is never going to be able to get rid of having no salary cap. The biggest win the Players Association did in sports, in any sport at all, was the Major League Baseball Players Association being able to negotiate not having a salary cap. Imagine if Patrick Mahomes hit the market today in a no salary capped NFL. What type of money he would be getting. If Josh Allen hits the market in a no salary capped NFL, how much money would he be getting? If they took the salary cap restrictions off, Jerry Jones would go wild. He would have a pyroclastic blast of ejaculate shoot out of him, and the ability that he can just go buy whoever the hell he wants. He would resurrect the corpse of Emmitt Smith and Troy Aikman, give them all the steroids and HGH they want, and have them out there if he could. I love where this is going for Major League Baseball. And it's so weird to me because Major League Baseball is the league that everyone could sit here and say is failing the most. How many of us actually watch 10%? 10% of the games in Major League Baseball? I love Major League Baseball. And I do not watch 16 games, at least not in the regular season. I'll watch the Yankees in the playoffs, and I'll watch the World Series. But if the Yankees ain't in the World Series, I really do not care. And even with that, I couldn't care less about the 162 games in the MLB season. And somehow, some way, it's just got so much more money. The franchises aren't nearly as valuable as the NFL franchises are, right? Like the cheapest NFL franchise would be probably the Browns, and they just sold not too long ago for a couple $billion. The Miami Marlins sold a couple of years ago for $1 billion. 1.1, I think, is what it was. It's not as valuable as the NFL, and somehow, some way, Major League Baseball has so much more money in it. Tommy Cananza saying, I don't think he would, LOL. Referring to Jerry Jones and my assumption that he would just go out and try to buy every single damn player he could. I think as these owners get old and they realize, like, look, I'm going to wind up selling this team at some point in time because as far as estate building goes, it's easier to, wow, this got dark really quick. It's easier to like split up the money in actual cash than it is to split up the team and whatever the value of the team is, right? So eventually I think Jerry Jones, unless it's in his will that Steven and all them get it, will eventually sell the team so that way he can help estate plan and do his thing. My thing is that as these guys get older, as they get, octogenarian, close to centenarian, they just want to win one more time. Jerry Jones is such a loose cannon that I feel like if there wasn't a salary cap, and I think it was 2013, 2014, there was a year with no salary cap, but you were going to be penalized the next year if you like went crazy. That's what restrained him back was, okay, well, I don't want to deal with the penalty of whatever happens if I just go insane and sign Tom Brady, for example. If there was no salary cap in the NFL, I think Jerry Jones would go crazy, but then you would look at the other people that own teams out there, right? Would Jerry Jones be able to go dollar for dollar with the Walton family, who owns the Broncos, who owns Walmart, and the amount of money they have? The NFL owners aren't allowing Bezos into the league because they know that he's got so much more money than the rest of them that it would be unfair, despite the fact that there's a salary cap. It's just one of those things that, like, Jerry Jones, I know, with as crazy as he is, would more than likely just go batshit crazy and try to sign as many players as he absolutely could. Tommy Canazzo saying Stephen Jones would still pretend that there was a salary cap. He would be bringing up numbers from like the 1990s and be like, look, the salary cap this year is $2 million. God, I remember like those days when they would bring up people's contracts and they'd be like, oh, this person made, was it like $7.2 million this year? And they're amazing with what they're able to do. I'm trying to think of who it is where it's like some scrub football player has made so much more money just this season. Deshaun Watson made more money this football season than Jim Kelly made in his entire career. Jim Kelly's career earnings were $27 million. Deshaun Watson this year made $36 million and hasn't even played the whole year. Just wrap your mind around that. And obviously it's just a change in the game, but geez, man, that NFL salary cap, the lack of salary cap in Major League Baseball, that's making this stuff fun. Augustine Pimentel saying, did I Heart El Paso have a salary cap? Surprisingly, iHeart is the place where I made, I guess, the second most amount of money in my media career. Believe it or not, my very first gig that I had whenever I was working for KTEP was a volunteer position that eventually turned into a part-time position with KTEP, being able to like produce, host, do all that stuff. That one I was making $8.25 an hour. $8.25 an hour. Then my first actual paid gig, which wasn't KTEP, but was a place that I was interning at and became a, I guess, regular fixture on an afternoon sports show, was $7.75 an hour. I was working 100 straight days, sometimes 50 hours a week, without overtime, for $7.75 an hour. I was a grown-ass adult. I was a 30-year-old man when I decided to do this thing. iHeart El Paso didn't have a salary cap, but hey, I was making okay. I guess it doesn't matter what I was making. I was making, what, $13 an hour? But whenever I would do remotes as the talent that did the remotes, and that's why I did so many of them, it was $100 an hour. So you do a 2-hour remote, you got $200 just right there. Saturday, remote at 10, remote at noon, remote at 4 o'clock. Then I would have the remotes at the adult club. So I'd get about 4 to 5 of those in a weekend. There you go. That's where the money was for me. Not my actual paycheck. So whenever COVID came and all that stuff dried up, dude, I saw my paycheck and was like, what the hell am I doing with my life? 2 weeks, I got $600. What the hell am I doing with my life? that was an eye-opening experience for me. I was like, Jesus, man, I can sit at home, do this by myself, and get that much. Augustine is saying, good thing you have that spicy money, military money. LOL. Exactly, man. If it wasn't for the fact that I'm a 90% disabled vet, I would not have been able to survive doing this radio career. And obviously it's because I started out so much later than a lot of other people did that it was just like having kids, having responsibilities as an adult that I needed to do more. Thank God I had my disability from the military, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to do this stuff. And this to me, like, I'm glad that I have people that watch. I'm glad that I got Augustine, Tommy, I've got Medusa, I've got, Jessica, and a bunch of other people that are tuning into the show all the time. And I appreciate that so much. But this is like my therapy session for me, right? Like, just being able to sit here, hang out with y'all, talk about sports. Like, Jesus Christ, man, I'm such a unnecessarily blessed individual to be able to do this stuff. And then the one thing that I have is that I actually sound good. You know what I mean? Like if I wasn't me, I would love my voice. You know what I mean? But I am me, and I don't like my voice. Look at that. Another 30-minute segment. Who'd have thunk it? 30 minutes at a time. That's what we do best, baby. All right, y'all. We're going to take a quick break. Whenever we come back here on the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton, we're going to talk about Bill Belichick making the move to college football. Augustine Pimentel saying, don't appreciate it. We are here to be entertained. Dance, clown. Dance. Mwahaha. I sure will. I will make sure that I dance for you. Jessica Michelle Forzon saying, a good rant is cathartic and entertaining. Man, I'm maybe tomorrow, whenever I'm not on Roku, we'll talk a little bit about the iHeart thing. I'll let y'all, again, like, I want to try to share out the link so y'all can join and actually talk to me. We can have a conversation. I'm not ever going back to iHeart Media. I got no problem saying that. And maybe we can just have that type of conversation, right? Maybe we'll talk about that. Maybe finally I'll let the 4 years go. Is 4 years enough time to be like, it's gone? Although it hasn't necessarily been 4 years. I guess it's only since April. Jeez. What was I doing with my life? Augustine Pimentel saying, here we go with the clean balls commercial. You're damn right.
Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. It's an absolute pleasure to serve as your president. I know that our community is going to come out in full force. And on the ACC side, we have Louisville.
They're playing and representing the Pac-12, even though they're in the Big Ten. To make it short, University of Washington.
It is official now. We know who's playing in the 91st Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. We have the Louisville Cardinal coming for the first time to El Paso against Washington Huskies on December 31st at 12 noon at the Sun Bowl Stadium. Tickets are going fast. We've got two fantastic teams. Get your tickets early and come out and enjoy the festivities. It's more than just a football game. We'll have something for everybody. See you there on December 31st.
Oh, hello. I'm Mike Tipton. I want to tell you about the perfect gift this holiday season. The Balber's dual-sided ergonomic design allows it to go both ways, meaning you can shave in either direction. The slim shape is optimal for trimming those hard-to-reach areas. It's also nut safe, providing a 30-degree pivoting blade that is engineered for nut keeping. Say goodbye to the cuts, nicks, pulling, tugging, and snaps. If you're looking for stamina, it's got exactly what you need. With its long-lasting lithium rechargeable battery, it can last up to 150 minutes on one charge. The Balber is IPX7 waterproof, which means it can have fun dry or wet. Visit www.myhappynuts.com/Mike Tipton to give your man the perfect package for his package. I love the dumb stuff that I do. Is also going to be a fun time. That's the one thing you can always know. That's going to be a fun time. Remember, go visit our friends over at Happy Nuts, myhappynuts.com/Mike Tipton. Check out the big package holiday bundle that they have going on right now. Save up to 35% when you go and visit www.myhappynuts.com/Mike Tipton or use promo code Mike Tipton at checkout. Save up to 35% on the big package holiday bundle. Check out what they've got over at www.myhappynuts.com. Run as fast as you can. Go get your nuts happy. Be like the gingerbread man. Just the random things that come into my head. That's a super duper inside joke though. So that's a good one just for me. But again, go visit them over at www.myhappynuts.com/Mike Tipton. Save up to 35% on the big package holiday bundle. Okay. I mentioned it before we went to the break, and Augustine had mentioned it earlier as well, that we wanted to talk a little bit about it. Yes, whenever you use a promo code, it's Mike Tipton, one word. One word, Mike Tipton. Thank you so much, Tommy, for reminding me about that. That's an oversight of mine. I'm glad that you brought that to my attention. So now I'll be able to make sure I use that correctly. Augustine Pimentel is down on the Sun Bowl. There's a part of me that's down on it. There's a part of me that's excited about it. It's one of the few things that I really enjoy with, being here in El Paso. Like, I always look forward to the Sun Bowl. Doesn't matter when it is. I love that it's back to being at its normal time, noon on the New Year's Eve, basically. That's always one of my favorite things to go to. Like, I just love the event. So I'm not necessarily one of the people that cares too much about the teams. Granted, it's a weird matchup. If this was a few years back, I think people would be much more excited about it. But I mean, you got to roll with what you got to roll with. I'd still like to see people get out there and celebrate the Sun Bowl itself. Just go out there, have themselves a good old time. But I understand the ambivalence that people would have towards this game, because it's not like if you're going to have a not sexy name, then you got to have at least one sexy name. And if you're not going to have any sexy names, then you better hype the hell out of what you got. And maybe there's going to be an awesome halftime show. We've got to see what that's all about. Augustine saying, yes, it's great, but what an awful game. But this is what I also say about that, right? Like, whenever you have bad versus bad or mediocre versus mediocre, you normally get a pretty fun game. So I'm going with, I hope that this is going to be a pretty fun game. So we'll see. I mean, I'm all about it. Like, it's one of those weird things, like, where I'm just at the point of, I'm tired of seeing teams like these in bowl games. And as I said last week, as I mentioned to our friend Jason Fitz when he was on the show, let's just make it a 25-team playoff and have the Sun Bowl actually mean something. Even if it's a matchup between like Army and SMU or whatever, at least that has meaning. At least that has value to it, where people are going to want to watch on TV and people are going to want to be there at the game. And you're not just placating to a niche crowd of fans who might want to go somewhere, right? Like the people from Washington coming down here, maybe they will, because you're leaving super cold and coming to a place that's perceived as warm. But the entire time on the broadcast, as I'm reading the comment section, the 6,000 people that viewed it on Twitter, it was a unanimous thing from the crowd of Louisville that they didn't want to come to El Paso. And that to me is doing a disservice to the city of El Paso, but that's something that I think they've just never been and they don't understand, right? Because you see the Sun Bowl and you think to yourself, El Paso, little itty bitty town, all that good stuff. And it's just not accurate. Or maybe that's just me, going to bat for my hometown. I love the city of El Paso. So whenever people dump on it, I get upset about it. It's one of the oldest bowl games that are out there. A lot of history, a lot of tradition. It should be fun, and hopefully we'll see a decent crowd out there at the game, although I've been told by a ton of people that they're selling their tickets on the secondary market. If that's your prerogative, cool. But, I mean, go out to the tailgates, go out, have fun. I know what I'm going to be doing. If you're going to be drinking and driving, make sure that you do what James Montoya, the district attorney, and all them ask you to do, and that's call Uber. The city of El Paso is giving out 800 Uber rides, a voucher up to $20 from 8 o'clock in the morning, December 31st, until 5 o'clock in the morning on January 1st. No excuses anymore for anybody to be out there driving under the influence. But that's enough of me on my soapbox. I will step down from that right now, and I'll get on another soapbox and talk about Bill Belichick making the move over to college football. I like it. I know a lot of people out there don't, and I can understand why a lot of people out there wouldn't like it. But I like it. They're doing what I've asked sports to do for quite some time, which is, especially college football, let's just pull the curtain back and say that it's professional, right? Like it's not that hard. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, college football is, and college basketball, that it comes down to the fact that there needs to be order and structure. And if the rule or if the aim of the game is to get as many of these kids to the NFL or whatever professional branch of football they want to go to, the USFL or whatever it is, the UFL, if that's the way that it's going to go, then give them the protections that they need and give them a coach like a Bill Belichick who, in my mind, just pulled the whole curtain back and said, this will be a professional setting. You will focus on your grades because that's just like learning your playbook. You will have nutrition the way that it needs to be. It will be rules after rules after rules. We will treat this like the NFL. Augustine Pimentel saying, can you imagine how many players are going to want to play for Bill Belichick? And Bill is going to be the CEO and hire great assistants. just reap the rewards. I agree with that. I I really like the fact that Bill Belichick is going to be the head coach at UNC. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier. I think I might have just gone into Bill Belichick's a new head coach in college football. But the University of North Carolina hiring Bill Belichick, giving him a 5-year deal. Augustine says it correctly. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, you know, Bill Belichick was aged out of the NFL. I don't think he was aged out of the NFL. And let's go with the hypothetical that he is, or he was. Do you think that if Bill Belichick went on a recruiting visit and laid out all eight of his Super Bowl rings, all 8 of them, that's not going to be something that kids look at and say, holy hell? Because yes, as a head coach, he won 6 with Tom Brady. He also won 2 as a defensive coordinator. He has withstood the test of time. And that is one hell of a marketing tool that you can use. Look at the success I had in the NFL. I know what it takes to be there. I know what it takes to win there. This is what you have to do on your end to make sure you can get to the NFL. That is all that parents see. That is all that kids see. They want to just make it to the NFL. That's what the end goal is. And if 1% of the 1% that are the best in high school football make it to college football, and then the 1% from that 1% makes it to the NFL, then that means the higher percentage of that 1% is going to want to go to North Carolina, which is a beautiful university, I might add, in a beautiful area of North Carolina that's going to be easy to recruit to, that has a ton of things around it. The Raleigh-Durham area in North Carolina is a ton of fun. I know that as a guy that was in the military in my early 20s and lived in that area. It is a blast to be in that area. These kids are going to want to be there. And now they have a coach who is arguably the greatest winning coach of all time. I know I said on this show, Augustine Pimentel saying, who would you want, Scotty Walden or Bill B? Yeah, I mean, that's what it is, right? Tommy Canassa saying, well, there goes Bill Belichick to the Cowboys narrative. It just gave JJ a less option to replace Mike McCarthy. FML, hashtag anyone but Mike McCarthy. You know what, my guy, Tommy, where our aim wasn't Bill Belichick anyway. We wanted Ben Johnson. We're going to go out there and get Ben Johnson. I see my dude, Eric Shane, the Wolf Munoz is tuned into the show. What's up, my dude? Got nothing but love for you. Sarcoma survivor. I've done a lot of stuff with the sarcoma run, the sarcoma 5K. Can't wait for that one to come back out in the summer. Can't wait to be out there. Your boy's getting in shape. I'm going to run this year or roll. Either way, I'm moving down the mountain. It's going to happen. Medusa Designs saying chances are get a little higher if you go to Bill Belichick. Exactly, right? And then Bill Belichick can say this that Nick Saban could not say. I was successful. I stuck it through. I have what has to be the most dominant run of coaching in the history of the NFL. Bill Belichick being in North Carolina, with all of us now just pulling back the curtain and saying, look, college football isn't amateur anymore. College football is basically professional football now. Now that it's just out there in the open. Why not? I don't see a downside to this. And they're like, oh, he's old. How can he connect to younger kids? Do I need to remind you that he is dating a 24-year-old woman? He's in his 70s. And he's dating a 24-year-old woman. You're telling me that can't connect? Well, like, really? He doesn't know what it's like to connect to the younger generation? He's basically living with someone that's a third of his age. I know Augustine Pimentel just had himself a little heart attack right there. Oh, God. He's dating a woman. Tommy Canassa saying, I want Ben, but I'll take anyone other than Mike McCarthy. I'm with that too. As a Cowboys fan, just anybody but Mike McCarthy. The one thing that I will say, Tommy, yesterday it was, I'm not angry that you lost. I'm disappointed that you lost. That's what ultimately ended Mike McCarthy's career in Dallas. That loss to Cincinnati. I think it's done. Again, there is the small, less than 1% chance that the Dallas Cowboys can make it to the playoffs. More than likely not going to happen. Augustine Pimentel saying, if in the next 4 years Bill Belichick wins a national championship with North Carolina, it solidifies that he is the greatest ever. I don't even think if it takes 4 years, man. If they just are a constant, like even if they're in the NCAA college football playoff, if they're like one of the top 12 teams and they're constantly making runs, you wouldn't be able to deny it. And I still don't think you can deny it. Just like Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback of all time, and I don't think it's close. I don't think it's like with Belichick, like who's even on that level? Like look at what Andy Reid has to do. Andy Reid has to win 3 more Super Bowls to surpass what Bill Belichick has already done. And Andy Reid has been coaching much longer. At least as a head coach, much longer. Tommy Cananza saying the blue chew for Jerry or for Bill Belichick must be amazing. And then saying from your lips to God's ears, talking about the end of the Mike McCarthy era in Dallas. Augustine saying, if I dated someone that much younger, it's frowned upon. I mean, a lot of that also has to do with the fact that you kind of got like a creepy face. Like look at your profile picture. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to zoom in. Whenever I do like a clip, I'm going to zoom in on your profile picture, and this look, the Augustine Zoolander look, from anybody over the age of 19 is super duper creepy, dude. And I'm saying that as someone that has a voice that is super duper creepy. I sound like a friendly giant. I'm 5'10". I know what creepy is. That profile picture, my dude, change it up. Just please, for the love of God, change it up. Obviously saying, ha, 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 do it. I will, my guy. I think what I'm going to do, Instagram has been doing pretty well for me. I've been averaging about 2.5 to almost 3.5 million views and hits a month on Instagram since January. I think what I'm going to do is just put like a poll, your picture on there, and be like, hot or not? And let's see what happens. Like if you were a younger person, would you date this man here? Obviously, if I put myself out there, it's going to be a resounding landslide no. So I have to put somebody else out there. Although the guys that I think this will be another, that's going to be put on the shelf for tomorrow's show because I cannot do that on Roku via National Streaming Sports. Shout out to our friends over at National Streaming Sports for once again doing the allowing this nonsense to be on their airwaves at 10 o'clock in the morning Eastern, 8 o'clock Mountain Time. Shout out to y'all for tuning in and being a part of the show because Jesus Christ, I don't know how y'all deal with me, but I like it. I enjoy it. Thank you so much for dealing with me and my nonsense this early in the morning. The most sports-adjacent sports show in the history of sports shows. Thank God it's not COVID anymore where I'm just eating tacos and drinking coffee. Or maybe I should do that. I think that sounds like a good time. Augustine saying, yes, we love out clown. I think you meant our clown. So not only are you fugly, you also can't spell. 0 redeeming qualities in this man. I'm such a jerk. Augustine, I'm sorry. You don't deserve all that. You came after the Cowboys. You got me in a bad mood. You said I didn't have audio. So now it's just unrelenting amount of smoke headed your direction. One day I'll be more professional. One day. I also need to get I want to be able to hire someone that can scroll through the comments and just give me clips to read so I'm not reading everything like I'm effing Ron Burgundy. But I think we can all we all agree on this, right? It would have to be a monumental disaster for Bill Belichick not to work in college. obviously there's always that possibility. Like maybe he is aged out. Maybe he is, his style of coaching isn't going to work in college football. I don't know if y'all watched the untold Aaron Hernandez story, but it didn't seem like Bill Belichick was really there caring about whatever the hell you're doing as long as you showed up to do your damn job. I think that's more or less what it's going to be. Is he'll hire a ton. Another word was going to come out there. He'll hire a ton of assistants that will make sure players are doing what they're supposed to do. I don't know what it would take to consider it an unequivocal failure because North Carolina is not a good team. They're not a good team this year. I'd be interested to see what happens now with the transfer portal. How many players are going to leave their current spot to go to North Carolina just for an opportunity to learn under the greatest coach of all time? Augustine saying, LOL, or day you'll mature. Or day I will. Or day I will. I promise you that. Or day. I'm such a jerk. But I other than losing every game, and I cannot foresee a Bill Belichick-led team losing every game. I don't see how this would be a negative for Bill Belichick. I wanted to talk a little bit also about the Philadelphia Eagles, a drama that's coming out of Philly, but I don't know how many people actually care. And that's the thing too, right? How many coaches would line up to go with Bill Belichick? I assure you right now, if you have an assistant coach, a young assistant coach, or even a young head coach like what we have with the University of Texas at El Paso, and he was given the opportunity, just told right now, hey, Bill Belichick wants you to go and coach his running backs. I assure you, I promise you that you would go in a heartbeat to learn from Bill Belichick, to be a part of what the Bill Belichick learning tree is. Medusa Design saying exactly, even just the experience of getting coached by him is enough to transfer. Tommy Canazzo saying, if I hear Eagles, you get tomatoes. Hey, man, I'm with it. I am with it, my dude. Trust me, I don't want to talk about them. They're just in the news. Like that's what they are. Like they're in the news. And what I was going to talk about was like the tumultuous stuff going on with this team, right? You have someone come out on a podcast, because everyone comes out on podcasts now, and says, oh, there's an issue between 1 and 11, basically saying there's an issue between Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown. They're not on the same page. There's something going over here. There's tumult in the area. And it got me thinking. Last year, we saw this team dissolve at the end of the year. Everyone expects it to be the same thing that happens this year, right? 12-2, there's going to be something that happens with the Philadelphia Eagles where they just shit the bed. This could be the thing that leads it that way, right? And I kept thinking to myself, is there another team in football that we can look at and say, Jesus Christ, this team is just so damn dysfunctional. This team just, like from the head coach being the dumbest person as a head coach to ever be. Like for everything Bill Belichick is, Nick Sirianni is the 180 of what Bill Belichick is. Nick Sirianni is just some guy who happens to have inherited a team that had a lot of talent. But he also makes a lot of dumb decisions. He's your friend that you take to the bar that you know you're going to have to either A, have his back when he gets in a fight, or B, not tell anybody that he left with the biggest person there. Male or female, your friend does what your friend does. I'm not here to judge. But Nick Sirianni is that guy. Just the unpredictable nature and just sheer stupidity that this guy coaches with. And yet you still have a team that's somehow 12-2 or 11-2 on the season, that's somehow still in the playoff mix, and that is somehow dealing with all the turmoil that they're dealing with. And this is the one where you can sit there and say to yourself, man, if I'm playing fantasy, I want A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts on my team stat. because you know they're just going to force feed the ball to A.J. Brown to pretend like there's nothing bad there. There's nothing wrong, nothing to see here, everybody. It's all fun. It's all good. We're happy. But what happens in the next week and the next week and the next week? Because we've seen it a bunch of times. They're not on the same page. They really aren't. They've been at each other. They've been giving each other the side eye. They've been doing all this stuff. So now I'm excited to see that maybe Tommy Carranza's prediction earlier in the year that the Eagles will find some way to mess it up, the Eagles will find some way to F it all up, might come true based off of just how bad the personality mix is in the locker room. Tommy Carranza saying that Nick Sirianni is a damn clown. Howie is the reason they're 10-2. That's what a real GM can do for you, Dallas. Man, the Cowboys just taking a stray right there, just a random stray in the direction of the Dallas Cowboys. All right, everybody, we will be live tomorrow. It's Friday, so I won't be on Roku. We will see you all on Monday. Everyone else, we will see you tomorrow. I'll open up the phone lines. Basically, we'll put the link out there for the stream, and maybe we have ourselves a conversation, maybe a story time with Tip, and I finally get to vent a little bit about all the stuff that happened to me in the past with a certain radio company. All right, everybody, we'll see you next week. Enjoy this message from Happy Nuts.
Hello, I'm Mike Tipton with a message for the ladies. Ladies, the man in your life doesn't know how to tell you this, but his nuts are not happy. Don't worry, you can make them happy by giving them happy nuts this holiday season. Visit www.myhappynuts.com/Mike Tipton and look for the perfect package that fits your man's package. From our Jingle Bells Your Ball Smell gift box that contains a Happy Nuts Comfort Cream and Anti-Chafe Comfort Stick, two of our best sellers, and a special gift your man would love to hang from the tree, to our fresh and clean bundle, our special soaps, and even our patented nut scrubber, MyHappyNuts.com has everything you need to take your man's nuts from being sad to happy this holiday season. Visit MyHappyNuts.com/Mike Tipton today and save up to 40% on the perfect package for your man's package.